Hey, welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, on whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community, just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Welcome, everybody. It's Captain Matt. Just a couple of minutes late here. My wife is out having dinner with a friend, so I was getting the girls down to bed on a school night, and we got a little delayed. So hope everybody's doing good. Thanks for joining us here, and for our Sunday live. If you've not been to a Sunday live before, just put your questions in the chat. We'll get to it, and we will see what kind of fun we can have tonight. What do I have to start? I'll tell you about what's coming up for me in this week. Hello, John S. Welcome, Ray. Glad to have you. Brock, good to have you. Hopefully your shirt showed up. I think I got a notification that it finally got there. John S., hello. Welcome. And so on Tuesday, I'm heading to Southport, which is Wilmington area, North Carolina. And we are going to finally, if all goes well, awesome. You're very welcome, Brock. Very welcome. Thank you for being a great part of the community here. I really appreciate it. But I will be heading to Brian, welcome. Just getting home from the weekend, camping on the lake. So won't have time to stick around. Real Secret Weapon we can teach me to make the weekends longer. I'll have to work on that program. I'm not sure that I can figure that one out, but maybe go to a 4-day work week. That's the key. But yes, John, hit that thumbs up. For sure. Those are helpful. It tells YouTube that, hey, this guy is providing good value, and we like him. And that tells YouTube to show this person and more people. So I always appreciate the likes and the comments, and shares especially are great. Always very much appreciated. Eric, welcome. Eric's been on the last couple of weeks. Boater Tom, good evening. Thanks for joining in. And so I was just saying that I am going to be heading to Wilmington area, Wrightsville Beach, Wilmington, Southport Marina is where I'm going. And I hired a captain that I know from, he was actually one of the instructors when I went through my captain's training. So getting my OUPV and my master's, he was one of the instructors. And so Captain Tim and I are going to go out on his, I think it's a Grady twin engine I think 26, 28 foot, something like that. And we're going to finally record the coastal confidence course. So that's going to be how to handle wind and currents, reading weather charts, the proper safety, how to run in following seas and quartering seas, and how to run in some sloppy weather, how to decide when's a good time to go and when do you say nope, we're not going, how to make those kind of decisions, apps and technology. And because I grew up as a lake boater and I'm a freshwater guy right now, we're 3.5 hours inland, basically, in the Carolinas. So when I get to the coast, it's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I would not be comfortable taking my family 5 miles offshore, even. And although I've run a little bit offshore, I've run in the saltwater environment, but it's not an area where I felt I was qualified to be that instructor. So I've hired Captain Tim, and on Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to be out filming all day. We've got the outline, we've got the shots that we all need, and so I'm the that's the big question. So assuming everything goes well, Tom, that we get everything shot, and then we get it edited up. So if we get it all done on Thursday, if I need to stay to Friday, that's kind of our extra day. Looks like the weather's going to work, which is that was one of the trips we had canceled was due to weather. Another was due to the other captain that I was going to have do it with me backed out, and that didn't work out. So assuming that all goes well, I would hope that we could have it all put together, loaded up in the system by October 10th, that week sometime. So the hardest thing for me is to get it filmed. Once I get it filmed, the putting the video together isn't terribly difficult the way my process works. And it's just a matter of, can we get it all loaded in the system? But that week of October 10th is what I'm shooting for, because I'm already 8 months behind of when I wanted to get this out. I wanted to get this out in April, and that just didn't happen. And so here we are. But it's coming, Tom. So just catch up with me. Probably the week of the 3rd, like on that live on the 9th, October 9th, I'll know, hey, I can get it done. It'll be in there and ready to go. Or I'll know, okay, we're having to push it off a little bit, and it'll be done end of October, early November. But I'm shooting for that week of the 10th. So all right, we got the dogs in here tonight, so hopefully we don't have the same repeat of last weekend where my dog chewed up her bed. But so that's what's going on for me coming up. And then there also is in towards the end of October. I haven't decided which way I'm going to go, but there's the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, which is at the end of October, and there is a Land and Sea show, which is the Land and Sea is a catalog, a wholesale catalog for dealers and people that sell, West Marine type stuff. And they have this big conference where all of the vendors come and show their wares. So I'm torn between going to the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, where I'll see a lot of brands that maybe I wouldn't have the opportunity to see anywhere else. I'll be able to talk to some people. That would be great. But the show for Land and Sea is all the gear that it's something I haven't done a lot of, but I want to start to do some reviews on, hey, this is the best tube for this type of situation. These are some products that I think you'll find valuable. These are products that they're cool, but they're just not going to work, or they're gimmicky, and they're not going to be practical. If you've watched my training, my best boat captain training, the same approach I'll do with the Confident Coastal Boater is it's got to be practical. Safety is important, but it's got to be practical safety. It can't be, you know, don't do anything that would even possibly get you in a dangerous situation. Well, make smart decisions, but you're there to have fun, and with fun sometimes comes a little bit of risk. If we didn't want to have any risk at all, we would stay at home on the couch, and even that's got some risk associated with it, right? But going on the water is inherently dangerous. Um, and so I like to have that practical approach. We're here for fun. We know there's some danger involved. We know it's a challenging situation. Let's get educated. Let's get trained to do it properly. Let's use the right gear. And then that's where the videos would come in is, hey, this is the right gear. This is the gear that I like. This is the gear that I think makes sense and is practical. So I am stalling the best I can. Welcome, Saint. Glad to have you. Um, what's your thoughts on Blue Water or Stingray? Trying to break my Bayliner bias. I would put Stingray in that same category as Bayliner. Stingray is notoriously a faster boat, so they build their hulls. I don't want to say 4-speed, but they build their hulls a little bit faster than most of the value boats. They've got a pretty good dead rise. They've got some decent sized chines on their, especially on their bow riders. They've run the same molds. I can't tell you when the last time they updated their molds on their bow riders, specifically on their deck boats. They may have, but they run their molds for a long time. That's one of the ways that they save money, is because they're not always redesigning their boats and re-engineering their molds, which each mold is a significant investment. Not as big an investment as it was, relatively speaking, when they actually had to carve the negative of the mold out of wood and then make the mold so they could pop the holes and decks out of it. That was really, really expensive back in the day. Now they can do a lot of that on the computer and the drawings, and they're able to do it a little bit easier. But so I would say Bayliner and Stingray. I would probably put Stingray just a little bit above in the quality. Their fiberglass is a little bit thicker. The Blue Water is, let me pull this up here. Because Blue Water, if you're talking about the center consoles, Blue Water is a great. If you're talking about the Blue Water sport fish boats, um, these things are very nice. They are. Let's see here. We'll go the inshore models. Those are more of a flats boat. That I'm assuming that's not what you're talking about, though, because that doesn't strike me as your type of boat. So let me know if it's a different Blue Water. But these are really nice looking boats. I've only seen one or two of them out in the wild, but I have talked to some people that know the Blue Water brand. But but I don't think that's probably who you're talking about. But so I can't comment on that if it's a different Blue Water boats. Let's see if there's a different Blue Water boats. Let's see if this one is it. Okay, that's a dealer. So yeah, let me know, because I don't think I don't think, Bo, that I'm looking at the right one. But I'll come back to you. Advice on generators. For gas generators, seems like only choice is Westerbeek. Should boats with the Kohler aren't produced anymore be avoided? No, no, it's I don't know a ton about generators, so I'll start it with that. The Once you have a generator in, replacing it is going to be easy enough. The Kohler generators, Kohler the Kohler generators were the mainstay. So the parts should be fairly easy to get. Techs are going to know how to work on those, and I don't think, and I'm not sure. Should boats with the Kohler gas generators that aren't produced anymore be avoided? As far as I know, Kohler is still building generators. Are they all diesel? If they stopped making the gas ones, I was not aware of that, but it looks like they have. Um, yeah, that's so. I don't know. I don't think I would avoid it. I think the repair and the parts are you're going to be fine getting support with it. If you need to replace it, it doesn't really matter. All you do is pull the old one and you put the new one and hook them all in. Um, but I don't know. The biggest thing with the generators is to make sure that they're exhausted properly if you do have some work done on it. So, um, marine gas, air conditioning, Westerbeek, Kohler. Yeah. So I don't know exactly what type of boat that you're looking at, like what age range that you would be looking at there, Herb. But what I would say is I don't, and this is kind of just an opinion here. I wouldn't be too concerned about buying a Kohler because that's what all of the technicians out in the marketplace are used to working on. They'll have a lot of experience with the Kohlers. If you need to replace, they can, uh, if they're well maintained, they can run for a long time, but at some point you're going to need to replace them. You can replace them with anything. It's just you just pull the whole thing out, make sure that it's vented properly and exhausted properly. The Westerbeek, I don't know anything about them, to be honest with you, so I don't have any insight there. But I don't think I can't see a reason why I would stay away from a boat with a Kohler generator when there's enough of them out there that parts are going to be readily available. It's not like it's a specific part for a specific brand boat that only made 1,000. There are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of those Kohler generators out there in the world that are being supported. So I don't think I would have an issue there. Um, the specific blue water I was thinking of was the Blue Water Monte Carlo Cuddy powered by a Volvo. Um, Blue Water Carlo. I'm not familiar with this boat at all. So I cannot add any value there. Blue Water Monte Carlo Bow Rider. These might be just up in your area there because I've never heard of that brand. So that's not good or bad necessarily. It's just the way it is. It's got a Volvo in it, so you know the depending on what the age of the boat is, most of the stuff is you're going to have to go aftermarket anyway. The Volvo is the one that you need the parts on to keep it running good. So you'll be in good shape there. Um, I don't know what years. Let's go back to the. This is what I like to do if I'm looking at a brand that I don't know. I like to go back to the NADA and see what years they built them. And there we go. That's what I wanted. So yeah, they built from 82 to 2013. So, they must have done a decent job. It's just, I don't know any of the history on it. So, you know, use, and this is why I teach my use boat and the first time boat buyer academy the way I do. And I talk about how I inspect boats, how, I pound on the fiberglass. I run my hand along the rub rail where the hull and the deck come together. I look at the hardware that they use. I try to get my hand up under to see if they're backplating things or if they've got, if I can tell if they've got a mounting bracket in the lamination schedule in within the fiberglass layers. So, fiberglass, some sort of backing material, fiberglass. So I know, okay, there's something solid there. It's not just a nut and a bolt pulling through. It's a nut and a bolt that is then it's going to hit that big thing and it's going to spread that, it's going to distribute that force more thoroughly across a wider area, which is better. So that's why I try to show it that way. So you can go and Bo, you're educated enough that you can go and bang around and kind of look up in the lockers and stuff. You've been, you're taking the tech courses. You've been watching the channel for I don't know how long, probably a year or more. And you should be able to kind of take a look at that boat and say, yeah, that's good. And again, just like I say with everything that's over 5 to 7 years old, the actual boat that you're looking at is more important than the brand. So the Monte Carlo, blue Monte Carlo, my first two cars when I was a kid. So I've got a love for the Montes, but that the specific blue water Monte Carlo Cuddy that you're looking at, what's the condition of that boat? That's much, much more important than the brand when you're looking pre-owned. Any recommendation on handheld spotlight? I have the Milwaukee M12 right now. Wasn't too impressed tonight leaving the River Dogs baseball game. I don't. I most of the time when I'm boating at night, I don't need a spotlight. I'm on lakes that I know well enough, and so the spotlight, I don't even know which one's on that boat. When I'm at the Ozarks, I never use a spotlight. It's, the docks all have blue lights on them if they're on the main channel. I know that lake, the areas that I go like the back of my hand. So I don't use a spotlight there. When I'm on Loudon, when I'm on Wiley or Norman, I know those lakes real well. And there's no stumps or debris or there's none of that kind of stuff that I really need to worry about. So unfortunately, I don't have a great one. But again, it's one of the reasons why I want to go to that Land and Sea show in October, is because I want to go and look, and I want to start doing some tests and say, okay, let's get what I think 3 of the best or 5 of the best, and let's do some comparisons. Let's take them out. Let me buy them and let me take them out and run them and show you which ones. And then I can say, hey, this is the best. This is the best value, and try to make some recommendations there. But unfortunately, I don't. Although I trust my radar, I to have a handheld. Yeah, I agree. It is. It's wise to have one on the boat, and we do. I never use it. And to be honest, I don't know that I've ever even really tested it out. It's got the stretchy cord that plugs into the cigarette lighter. That's the style that I have. And, but unfortunately I don't have a recommendation there for you, but I would like to get there. Todd, welcome, Todd. Have a Mercury 5.7 MPI. One head was replaced in May. Now I have a rotted valve I have a rotted valve guide on number 1 cylinder on the other head. Why would a mechanic want to send them to a mechanic rather than buy a new one? I don't have any idea, Todd. That I don't know if you've been a viewer for a while or not, but I know boats, I know boating, but I am not a technician. It is I've got, and I need to invite him on one of these lives, but Mike Mandel from Charlotte Boat Repair, he's worked at the coast, he's worked inland, he's worked on 200-foot mega yachts, that work diesel engines. He works here in the Carolinas now, and I want him. He did that video with me. I want him to maybe become a little bit more part of the channel, so I can add or he can add the tech side, because he would know the answer to this or have some value to input. Unfortunately, I don't. I when you start talking about taking engines down and tearing them down and pulling cylinders, and I'm way out of my depths there. And so I don't have any value that I can add there, and I would just be making stuff up. So hopefully we can get Mike on the show, and see if he can be a part of it, and be a resource for questions like that. What I would say is, when you have technical questions like that, I think probably the two best boat channels for that type of thing, Born Again Boating, who's a technician down in the Keys. He does mostly saltwater, almost exclusively outboard stuff, but very, very knowledgeable. And then Dangar Marine, Dangar Stew, who is in Australia or New Zealand, and he is legit mechanic. I mean, he's diving into stuff all that, like, super, super deep dives, and rebuilding motors. And I love his style of, it's nothing fancy, nothing produced, just, this is me doing this job. Let me talk you through it. Let me talk you through why I do it the way I do it, why I use the tools that I do. And he's a great source for mechanical knowledge. And those two, I think, are head and shoulders above anybody in the space that's doing like technician stuff. Born Again Boating, he also does, his are very entertaining videos, a little bit more production value, and a little more video editing, scripted. Very unlike me, he's very, very scripted, and precise, and some great videos. Local, I strapped a regular Honda generator to the swim deck of his cutwater. Seems to work okay. Yeah, I don't like that. Here's why. Is my concern is twofold. One is, if you're just sitting there, you've got the exhaust to worry about, that it's right there on the swim deck where everybody's hanging out. Now, again, even if it's properly exhausted, it's still being exhausted out of the side of the boat. So you still have to be aware of it. But two is, what happens when that thing gets washed overboard, or when a big wave comes and hits it, and are you going to fry your electrical circuit? But if you're just hanging out, if you're on the, if you're just pull it out when you're at anchor, okay, just be aware of the ventilation issues, and make sure that that people in the water understand that that carbon monoxide is going to gather right there on the water, and can be dangerous. I did a video on carbon monoxide that that I wish more people would watch, so that we don't every year have to talk about the handful of times it sneaks up on people. Boat Life Forever. Any tips or advice when taking delivery of a brand new boat? What to look for to inspect? Boat Life Forever. It's really everything. So when you're tell me what kind of boat that you're taking delivery of, and I'll try to give you some more specifics. But when you are taking delivery of a brand new boat, remember that whatever style is made, it's very, very handmade. So the things that you can find are just the little things that either didn't get done completely, didn't get done right. So you're looking, is everything tight? Are all of the wires dressed back, and are they clean? You're looking for putting the boat on the water and running it, and running it for a good 20 minutes, and make sure that all the live wells work and the pumps work and the bilge works and the blower works and all the switches and gauges and hatches and latches. You're just making sure everything's tight. You're making sure that everything opens and closes the way it should. You're making sure that everything turns off and on the way it should. You're checking all of the safety equipment. You're sitting in all the seats. You're opening every compartment, and you're really just going through the boat to look for any stupid little things. Now, they're probably, in most cases, here's what it's the dealer's job to do this the first go round, but here's the deal is if you get the boat buyer's toolkit, that will give you a pretty good checklist. You can use it for new or used. You basically use the same checklist because they've all got the same equipment, same stuff in them. But here's the process. Manufacturer builds the boat, goes through quality control processes at different steps of the building process. Before it goes out the door, it gets QC'd again, puts loaded up on the truck and sent to the dealer. I've done several videos on this on pontoons and on bow riders. The next step is the dealer gets it, they unwrap it, and they shouldn't just say, okay, Boat Life Forever, here's your new boat. What they should do is say, okay, let's get it rigged up, put oil, gas, batteries, the bimini top usually, put the snap-in carpet in, or just all of the things that are loose in the boat. And there's a lot of things loose in the boat when it shows up so that they can load them on the truck semi better. Then they should fire that boat up and take it out and run it under a load for 15, 20 minutes. Just a quick little shakedown. Does anything rattle? Does anything seem to be off? And then the technician that does that also has a full page checklist where they're supposed to go through and check everything, the head, the bilge pump, the blower, the nav lights, all of the safety equipment. Did we put the fire extinguisher in it? Did we fill it with the proper amount of oil? Is the gear lube filled? Is the oil filter on tight? There's no leaks in that engine, no leaks in the gear lube. And they're just, does the safety lanyard, does the kill switch work? And they should be going through all of that. And you should be doing a similar thing on yours, following the toolkit checklist. And you're just going through every little thing that you know is on your boat. Are the colors right? Are the options right? Going through the exterior. Did a rock hit it rolling down the interstate and ding up the gel coat? Dealer should do that as well. I was at a MarineMax dealer the other day. The dealership I used to sell for is now a MarineMax. So I stopped in, talked to the people there, shot some video, and they got a new Avaria, the Mastercraft bow rider that is just, it's a beautiful, beautiful boat, about $600,000, 28 foot or so, maybe even bigger than that. Just day cruiser, just an awesome boat. Well, sure enough, they had just unwrapped it and they were putting it together. And there was one of the techs going through with the grease pencil, circling all the blemishes on the gel coat. Now, who knows? Maybe it was transport, maybe it was production, whatever, but they go through, they buff it out. They have their gel coat guy hit it if it needs to. And that's what you need to do. Exterior, interior, motor, canvas cover, make sure all that stuff is good to go and that you got everything that you should have. Herb, thanks. Tech told me Kohler lost some kind of patent lawsuit. Interesting. I did not know that. I'll have to do some research on that. I was not aware of that. Yeah, thank you, Bo. I didn't mention that until I saw the comment. I'm trying to think what I named that video. That's why but if you go through Boat Life Forever, if you go through, let me see if I can find it for you. New boat. Problem with new boats, we'll talk about it a little bit. What your boat salesman won't tell you, talks about some of the things. That's not the one I'm thinking of, though. Obviously, I've got to do a better job naming my videos. Ah, check out those couple, but it's on the channel. I can't for the life of me figure out what the name of it is. You didn't even see me. I was scrolling through all of my all of the videos. There are 400 on the channel now, and sometimes I forget what I've all created. Which generation of MPI is it? Asking because Mercruiser isn't using GM blocks anymore. Yeah, it was 2017 ish when they switched over to casting their own blocks and building everything in house. Volvo stayed with GM for their technology and all of that. Mercury said Marine is just different enough, and we're big enough. We're going to cast all of our own blocks, and we're going to build it 100% for the marine environment, which makes maintenance a little bit easier because they can put things in the right area where it's easier to reach on a boat than it would be in a car, and other things for the marine environment that's just different. But I think it was like 2017 or so in my Volvo versus Mercruiser video. I give the date, the specifics on that, but I think it was somewhere around there. Looking at trading in a walleye boat, they're offering quite a bit less than NADA. All the boats I've been looking at, they're asking about the same over NADA. Yeah, Jim, we are at the tipping point of I've talked to several dealers lately, talked to several people in the industry, and inventory is starting to build up. It's not over inventory, but they're finally having boats in the showroom like they would in normal times. So, they would normally have this time of year, they should, if all goes well, they should only have a handful of the 2022 models. 2023 models should have been coming in July. I talked to a Lund dealer in Nebraska when I was back home in Nebraska. I just traveled around to a bunch of dealers, see what kind of inventory they had, see what was going on in the Midwest. And he said, this was in August for my brother's 50th birthday. He said, we just got these two 2022s in yesterday, and I still am expecting one more. So that was virtually 2 months later than what he should have been getting in 2022. The 2023s should have started showing up in July, mid to late July, which was interesting. So dealer inventory level is starting to go up. It's not high by any means, but it's starting to build up. Used boat demand starting to go down. New boat demand starting to go down, although there's still the backlog of orders that are out there. And talking to some dealers that said, hey, it was in mid-August, we kind of saw things slow down in Labor Day. We had our seasonal stop, which we hadn't seen for 2 years. 2.5 years, really. They hadn't seen that seasonal slowdown as much. People were still, hey, when can I get my boat? When can I get my boat? And they were just trying to keep up. So they're at a point right now where the dealers are saying, whoa, we got to be extra cautious with our trade-ins because I don't want to give 30 grand or 20 grand for this boat that last year I could have sold for 35, 40 or 25, 30, whatever it is. And that ACV, the actual cash value, that's what this boat is worth to us. We can put our 20% margin on or so and sell it for this amount, and we can be happy. Now they're saying, holy crap, what's going to happen when we go to sell this boat, assuming we can't sell it right away? They probably can't. Because demand is slowed down, seasonality like it should, and they're going to sell it February, March, April, May, depending on where they're at in the country and the weather and things like that. If you're talking walleye boats, you're probably upper Midwest. So, they're hauling boats out, they're hauling docks out. Things are going to start freezing here and, in another month and a half or so. And they're not going to sell a whole lot of boats in the next 2 months before ice in. and then ice out isn't going to be until March or so, maybe April, depending on what the weather does. So they're not going to sell that boat for another 4 months, 5 months. What's the market going to be doing there? There's talk of recession. There's talk of a slowdown. So I can't give you what I could have given you in March. And I knew I could sell that boat in a second and sell it for almost any amount that I wanted to that was even reasonable. So they're looking at NADA and say NADA is all mixed up, just like NADA was all off 2 years ago when demand was up, but NADA hadn't caught up to it now. And it's usually like 3 months behind. It's about a quarter behind. So that's why. But everybody that's selling a boat is trying to get what it was worth 3 months ago. So they haven't adjusted their sales prices online until you walk into them and you start negotiating. And now you can negotiate much further down. But they're not going to just price it that way. They're not going to say, no, this boat's only 25,000 now. They're going to leave it at 30 and they're going to make you negotiate down to a much lower level than they would have 3 months ago. So hopefully, Jim, that explains why. It doesn't make you feel any better. And I would try to sell it on your own if you can, if that makes sense for you, and that falls within your wheelhouse of something that you would want to do. The other thing that I would do is I would shop it to a couple of different dealers and understand. I did a video on this. Should you trade your boat, sell it yourself, or is there a third option? The third option, spoiler alert, is to broker the boat, is to let the dealer sell it for you, but just get what they can. They'll charge you usually 10%, or they'll have a minimum 2 or 3,000. It depends on the area, the dealer, and what their rules are. But that's might be a way to consider. Hey, the dealer doesn't want to take the risk, so they're going to give you a very low ball number because they don't want to give you too much and then lose money on the transaction. They can't stay in business if they do that. But what they can do is they can broker it for you and help you sell it, take all the work off of your end, handle all the marketing, use their database, and they'll charge you a fee for that. But maybe you can get more out of it if you can get it sold here by the middle of end of October, by the time ice out hits. So that might be something that you'd want to consider. Todd, you're welcome. I don't know that I provided a lot of value in that answer for you, but you are very welcome. Do you consider Sportsman a mid-tier boat? About to order, Rich, I do. 28-22 with Seakeeper. Absolutely. Brock, I was just going to say, I figured Brock would chime in. Brock's got a 19-247 Master. Yeah, I think it's very much in the mid-tier. And they do a lot of things that I like. I've been to the Sportsman factory 8 years ago, so that's like 2 or 3 factories ago. They've grown so much in that time that but they did some things with their drainage system. They did some things with the composites that they were working with that yeah, I think it's definitely in the mid tier. I saw a comment the other day that said I put Sportsman in the value tier, and I don't know that I've ever done that. I think they're pretty solidly in the mid tier. So let's see. Is this common practice? I realize they need to make money. Don't fault them for that. They make the amount of profit they're wanting is crazy. Jim, you got it. I think I probably answered it in my long diatribe. You probably put that comment in before I finished up. But there's a lot of risk associated. The boat that you think is perfect can't be sold as is. They've got to bring it in. They're going to do probably oil, gear lube, impeller. Maybe they need new batteries, maybe a detail. So that's, $1,000-$2,000 depending on where you're located. And then they've got to say, it's September. We're not going to sell this boat until April or May at best. Maybe we can sell it earlier, but probably not. So now the boat's 6 months older. So they got to take that into account. There's a high probability of a recession. Interest rates are going up. Interest rates are going to continue to go up in that time. That boat's going to get more expensive for the consumer. That boat's going to get more expensive for them. Or if they finance it, which they may or may not. So you see they're going to make 10 grand. The reality is they're only going to make 5 grand on that boat because of all the expenses they have. And there's the risk of, what if we can't sell it? And that's where they're positioning it, and how they come up with that price. And again, because NADA is just this is what the market in the past tells us this boat is worth. They fast forward and they say, okay, we've got another 6 months of depreciation because it's going to be 6 months older when we go to sell it. That takes it down. And we know prices are super, super inflated right now. What's the reality of the market? And I would say every dealer, probably even the different people in the dealership that will ACV the boats, whether it's the general manager or the owner, or, a sales manager, all three of those would probably right now value it somewhat different, because there's a lot of subjective predicting going on. It's not a science. It's not like a Honda Accord where you say, oh, it's a 2017 Honda Accord. It's worth this amount plus or minus $500. It's this walleye boat with this motor and these options. And that plus or minus could be 3 grand in what the value of that boat is, maybe even more, depending on what the options are and how they're valued. So there's a lot to it, and it's the dealer trying to protect their risk and make a profit, but the profit isn't as much as most people think when it comes to boat dealerships. It's very, very profitable in the good times. It is a money pit. They're losing money in the slow times typically, unless they have a really good service department, unless they have a really good pro shop and parts and accessories business. But dealers make a ton of money in the good times. In the low times, they lose money for a couple of years. Then they make decent amount, and then they make a lot. But it's a cycle, and they have to plan for the up and down. So, just a little bit of insight on the back end of a dealership and what they're thinking. And that's what I try to share in this video here in the trade secrets. And also how the shell game that they play with money of trade, especially with trades, because you've got the trade value, then you've got the ACV or the actual cash value. So that's the value that really matters. That's the value that says we would buy this boat just to have it, to sell it and make a profit. That's the value there. They're going to show you a number probably higher to make you feel good about your boat than the boat that they're going to sell you. They're not going to discount as much as if I was to come in and just buy it, just straight up with no trade. So there's a shell game that they play, and it's the brokerage option. If you can, I really like that option because it takes the shells away. It's now, forget it. What does my boat sell for? You get 10% versus the 15, 20% they're going to try to make as a margin on their used inventory in general. Remember, they're taking out the expenses of oil change, gear lube, detail, any other work that they've got to do on it. So they're taking that out, and their margin is over and above that. But that's sort of the way the numbers work. Story time, man. My friend had wasted last night when they had me prank call a boat dealership. All right. So you're gonna have to tell us about that, Bo. Jim, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Hopefully that is helpful for you as you go through the process. Are 2-cycle outboard motors going to be phased out soon? Leslie, I don't know. Nobody's making them anymore in the US. If you go Australia, put an end to 2-strokes several years ago. But there's a lot of countries where you can still buy 2-strokes. Yamaha still builds a 2-stroke engine, but they just don't sell it in some of the bigger markets that have put EPA or put environmental restrictions on and said, no, it's too dirty. We're putting the kiboshes on it, like the US, like Australia. I don't know. I think Canada may have done that. I don't know for sure. Um, in California, they lead the way in this type of things. You know, they're the ones that said we're going all electric, no more combustible engines in 2035 or whatever. And then 3 days later, they said, "Hey, wait, don't use so much electricity because our grid can't keep up." You know, there's some things that don't always match up, but they're always leading the way in environmental decisions. So there are a lot of lakes in California where you can't use a two-stroke because of pollution and because that body, excuse me, that body of water is their drinking water source. Understandable, makes there's a lot of lakes and reservoirs that are the drinking water source as well that don't have that restriction. They feel they can get it cleaned up. California said nope, can't run two strokes on those engines or on those bodies of water on those lakes. I don't foresee in the US, and again, Leslie, I don't know if you're in the US or not. Um, I don't foresee them cutting out two-stroke engines in the next 5, 10 years. But damn, the way things are going, you don't know. I think it would be state by state to start. I can't imagine that the federal government would cut it because now that's lawnmowers are two strokes. Um, some of them still, some of the equipment is still the two stroke. I don't know. I've got feelings on that, but I'm not going to get into my beliefs on that kind of thing. But I don't see them being phased out anytime soon. And by soon, I mean 5 years or sooner. 10 years is probably more accurate where they would start to do that. Although if you're in California, it's already happening. So, all right, you answered it. Had to use two chats to get it all in. Good. Very good. Baltimore Rockfish tournament this weekend. All the winners had sportsmen. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of boat for the a lot of good boat for the money. I've known several people that have worked at the Sportsman manufacturer. I've talked to Tommy, the owner, and his son-in-law, who I think is now taking over. I think Tommy packed it in and is all the way retired, if not semi-retired. And his son-in-law, I think, has taken over a lot of those duties. They seem to be great people. They seem to want to build a good product, but keep the price from getting too out of hand, and make sure they're delivering a lot of boat for the money. And I think that's why they've been successful. That's a market area where I think you have to do that to be successful. Like Key West does a good job with that as well, I think. Original Outcast. Let's put it this way. If I have a boat, the inflated market says it's worth 10 grand. I know in order to do a quick sale, I would drop it 2 grand to sell it, take offers from there, which is why I believe in paying things off before I sell. Yeah. That is for sure. The flexibility that you get of I can make quick decisions and is very useful. I don't know. I can repeat half what was said on the prank call. My account would get banned. Well, you have to. Hey, Bo, send me an email. Tell me what you were up to. You know the address. Let me know what's going on. Don't get yourself thrown in jail. Remember, calls can be recorded. So, all right. El Riviere, everyone hit the thumbs up for the great info. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I agree. I think that would be very much appreciated. Let's see. Bartle 006. Thoughts on buying a new Yamaha jet boat without a Yamaha dealer on the lake for warranty service. There's a dealer for wave runners, but they don't do boats. They're the same engine, but it's just enough different that you would have to talk to them to see if they would touch it. Okay. And they won't do any warranty claims on boat stuff. On my windshield needs to be adjusted. The seat base is broken. They won't do anything like that. I would, my, my default would be, how far away is that dealer and what is your comfort level in hooking the boat up on the trailer and taking it to them, um, when and if you have issues, and probably more like when. It just, and again, if you watch my videos on the new boats, they're all going to have some level of issue. I don't know what it's going to be exactly, but they're all going to have something. The good dealers are going to find most of it. I talked about that in the earlier about how the PDI, the pre-delivery inspection checklist, the PDI checklist that the dealers tech should go through when they're rigging the boat and getting it ready. Yamaha does as good a job as any of delivering a boat that's ready to go out the door. They do a really good job, and I know that because I sold Yamaha for a number of years here in the Carolinas, and it was really interesting because all we had to do was put the battery in and some fuel. Matter of fact, I want to say they had fuel in them because I think they run those boats. I don't know that's 100% true, but I think in the back of my mind, I think it is. But so they do a good job of it, but they're still going to have some warranty. Something's probably going to peak up in the first couple of years that you're going to want to take care of. Having the wave runner dealer, I would talk to them first before I did my financial commitment. Is say, hey, I'm buying a AR, 210 AR. Would you service and do my oil changes and my mechanical work? See what they say. If they say yes, I'm much more interested in buying that boat. If they say no, or just no, if they say no, then I would say, okay, how far away is that dealer? How realistic is it that I'm going to pull it back and forth and without just getting really, really ticked off? Is there a Scarab dealer nearby that would be better? Is the jet boat 100% the right propulsion system for me? And let that guide you. I've got a really good video on propulsion systems. Let me see where that thing is. Matter of fact, I just redid it. This one right here is compare pros and cons, jets, sterns, outboards, inboards, where I talk through all four of them, the pros and cons of each. But if you know the jet boat, that's it. That's the boat I want. Just know that you'll have to trailer it back and forth. The new 4-strokes are nice, but if I had my way, I'd have my old 2-stroke 250 in my back or my Ranger. Yeah, there's I've mentioned this in the comments a bunch when people would say I love the smell of 2-strokes, the nostalgia of 2-strokes, the torque. It's just there's a love affair with the 2-strokes, partly from the performance, partly from the ease of working on them and the simplicity of the engines, partly just the nostalgia. That's what grandpa ran when I was a kid with, the first time I was out boating. But they make a 2-stroke oil scented candle that, that somebody shared with me in my comments. And, so I always let people know that if you go on Amazon or just Google it, 2-stroke candles, you can find them if you need to fire it up. What are your thoughts on Jetstream mini boats? Cletus McFarland's channel, pretty good series of them. I've watched a few of his videos, but I have zero experience with jet boats of that style. It's the Yamaha, the Scarabs, the Vortex. Yeah, I can talk about those, but that jet boat that you're running in the Colorado rivers, that's a different world for me. Matter of fact, I was watching a video of a guy running them that had the, kind of like a zero radius lawnmower sticks to them. And So I don't have enough experience with those. And I think is Cletus the one that he was trying to run a jet boat to the Bahamas? Like him and his buddy were running this boat, and they're like, it's way too rough. We can't do it. I don't know where they got put in, but I know I've heard the name before, and I know I've watched some of his videos, and I think that was one of them. So, all right. So Leslie, you're in Oregon. So yeah, everything I said about California, you would be one of the first next ones in line as a state if that type of legislation was to come about. I'm not super political, but my gut tells me that that Oregon would probably be in that area maybe of enacting something like that. So, but again, it's not California statewide, I don't believe. I think it's reservoir by reservoir from what I understand in California. And I didn't even know it until somebody shared that with me on my channel on one of my videos about two strokes. They were running Tampa to the Keys. That's right. They made it 4 or 5 miles and turned back. That's Rock. That's exactly the video that I watched. That is exactly it. They were getting just pounded, and in those boats, he was trying to run them at the Keys. It was pretty funny. Experienced boaters doing stupid things on purpose. Yeah, that's I need to do some more of that kind of stuff. I don't know if my wife would be down with that, but all right, we're at an hour here. I felt like I really stretched some of these answers to make it to this hour, but hopefully you guys got some good value. It was fun again. Let me do my little spiel here. If you are a boat buyer, if you're shopping for a boat, looking to buy a boat, new or used, grab the Boat Buyers Toolkit. It's totally free. You can get it at boatbuyerstoolkit.com. Ooh, let me show you this. So I'm going to go big screen for this because I'm pretty excited. So this is the first draft of my new book. It's still at the editors. It is not ready for prime time, but this is the book. I just got it from. It'll be available on Amazon. You can see I'm putting some different pictures in of kind of some personal pictures of my family and me boating as a kid, my kids and nieces and nephews and stuff like that. But that will be hopefully by November. That will be ready for print. Should be at Barnes and Noble and the handful of bookstores that are available. You can order it. I can't imagine it's going to be on the bookshelf with kind of the niche market, but it'll be on Amazon. I'll record an audio version of it, and that will be available. So I'm pretty excited. It was fun to get it showing up in the although they put their little not for resale because it's not the final version. But I wanted to see the whole title. But that is available. The toolkit is awesome. It's totally free. It's got the checklists, questions to ask, things like that. The Boater Bootcamp, if you're a new boat owner, check that out. I talked to my buddy's son. He was out on the boat with some of his friends. He's a sophomore in college, and he couldn't get the boat started. He called his dad. His dad texted me, and I'm like, just have Coulter give me a call, and I'll see. I don't know if I can troubleshoot it. I just told you guys I'm not a mechanic. That is not my skill set. But I'm like, who knows? I might be able to figure it out. Sure enough, it was a simple. The safety kill switch had come undone, and it was just dangling by the throttle. So I got him fixed up, and he was back. He was back and off to the races. Saved the day with him and his buddies out at the lake having a good time. And that's the kind of stuff that I share in the Boater Bootcamp. Is what do you do if your boat doesn't start? What to check? What do your systems do? Why is the blower important on a stern drive? What do you need to things like pulling the prop to make sure that you don't get some fishing line wrapped around there and tear into your seals and cause a problem that you don't even know about because it doesn't dawn on you as a new boater that that's an issue. So I talk about a bunch of that kind of stuff, some navigation stuff, some boat ownership stuff. That's free at boaterbootcamp.com. We also have Best Boat Captain on the Water, how to drive your boat, how to dock your boat, how to tie it up. We're doing the Coastal Confidence. We got the stern drive. We've got the pontoon. We've got the outboard, which will be loaded up. That's been shot for a long time. and I haven't got it loaded up in the system yet. Tow water sports with confidence, learn to ski and wakeboard the easy way is on my list to do probably in the spring. Confident Coastal Boater will be, like I told Tom, hopefully the week of October 10th. Trailer Like a Pro is a great program on how to launch your boat, retrieve your boat, back your trailer, all of that good stuff. And if you're buying a boat, the First Time Boat Buyers Academy is really good. The magic money saving method portion of that, of how to negotiate, I think is going to be more and more valuable as the market has changed. Now we're done with the up. I think the plateau is still ongoing. We've got the seasonality dip. I think we're going to see that continue maybe. So that negotiation piece will work better and better and better as we continue to see that slowdown. And if the recession does hit the way they're talking, it's going to work even better when we come into the spring. And then, of course, everything has my Captain's Mats personal happy 100% money back guarantee. I do these lives for fun. Every now and again I get some donations that come in, but I do it because I like it. I like to have conversations with other boaters, share some of my knowledge and experience. Hopefully it's valuable, try to stay in my lane, but I just want people to get good value out of everything I deliver. If it's a paid program and you're not happy with it, just let me know. I'll refund it. It's okay. Although I'll tell you, I don't have many refunds. Usually the refunds come if they have a twin engine and they bought the program, and I don't have the twin engine filmed yet. The boat I'm going to be out on, and for the coastal will be a twin, so I might be able to get some of that done. Sustainability, welcome. Glad you were able to make it. Hey, if you're late because you're out on the water, that is fine with me. Get the last couple runs in for the season. So anyway, that's that. Mark, sorry for checking in late. We're boating 80 degrees northern Illinois today. Yeah, that's like I just told Sustainability. He is was out on the water today as well on the chain of lakes down in Florida. Seemed like everyone wanted to race with me today, topped out at 51. Hey, that's the way to do it. If you can race them in a tri-tune, and probably, most bow riders are going to run 42 to 47. So getting up into 51 when you're trimmed up just right, you can probably outrun a lot of them out there. Speaking of boaters doing dumb stuff, did you see the 650-foot tanker that took out the Bravo Wharf? No, I did not. Brock, I did not see that. Let's see here. I'm almost finished up, babe. Naval tanker takes out. So this is pier along the Cooper River. Weapon stations. Coast Guard officials said none of its cargo tanks were damaged. It's amazing. Like, listen, I've gone through the process of getting my captain's license, and you would be, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't be shocked, but other than the reporting your boat handling experience, there is no hands-on, can you drive a boat portion. It's, have you been on a boat? I'm going to go to me. It is, have you been on a boat? Did you drive the boat? Or were you just like they say, were you a watch? So even if you're out on a boat and you're not the operator, if you're a watch person, that counts as time on the water. Now you do have to have, 4 hours at a time is a day. You do have to have 180 or 365, depending on if you're going OUPV or Masters. But it's not to run in a ship like this. There's a different level when you get over to running a boat like that. But it's amazing. It's amazing that the restrictions are more book knowledge than actual hands-on. Can you operate and drive this boat? So it's why when I did my best boat captain, I'm guessing there are some people that have been through the best boat captain that can actually handle a boat better than some people that have their captain's license that were in the Navy or something, and they weren't actually boat operators. They just had time at sea. I don't know that that's 100%. There's a lot of people that fall into that category, but I'm sure there's some. 20-foot gash in the starboard side hull. That's crazy. That would have been up to the mandatory pilot. Yeah, and that's the there was a story in my captain's class. I remember vaguely about a story of the pilot is the person that comes out to the ship and will maneuver it in. So the captain that runs the ship brings it across the ocean, right? Then they get to the harbor. The pilot comes out to the boat, boards, and then they're responsible for knowing the local lay of the land and getting that boat in. But the captain is still, can be like, no, I'm gonna run it. And so there was a story about the pilot wanted to do something, the captain overrode him, and then they ended up, it was, I don't remember if it was the pilot wanted to do something dumb or the captain's like, I know my ship and it can't do that. But it was an interesting dynamic that happens with the pilots and the captains. So, all right, that's enough of me rambling. We've been here an hour. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the questions. I appreciate the thumbs up. I appreciate the support. And hopefully, I have some fun stories to share about my time on the water out off the Carolina coast. And we'll catch you guys all next Sunday. Most notable captain crash was the Tampa from the 70s that took out. Yes, that's right. The Sky Bridge is now, or the Skyway Bridge is now. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we will talk to you next Sunday. Thanks a lot.